Okay, go.
Okay. So there's a new restaurant that's going to be coming in soon to Hidden Cypress. The other championship golf course is Okatee Creek, and if you look over where it says Area Argent 1 on the map, right below that is where you can see the Okatee Creek golf course, and the British Open Pub restaurant is there. And then as far as golf goes, there's an executive course on the north side, 18-hole executive course. There's a putting green and driving range at Argent Lakes. There's also putting green and driving range, and I can't remember, is it at Okatee Creek?
Okatee.
Okay. Is there any, just the golf course at Hidden Cypress?
No, I think they have a chipping. Don't they have a?
I'm not sure. I don't golf, so
I'm
never.
not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they have at Hidden Lakes, but
I just take them into the
Hidden
clubhouse
Cypress.
and let the pro tell them.
Okay.
I say, ask your questions.
On the north side, the amenity center is called the Lake House. That just opened last summer. They've got another indoor pool there, fitness center, outdoor pool, hot tub. They've got 2 more tennis courts and pickleball courts. Pickleball has been so popular. There's over 700 members of the pickleball club. In the sports park, which is right across, the sports park is right across from Hidden Cypress, and that's where the original pickleball courts, they put in, I think, four originally, and it just overwhelmed, they were overwhelmed with the success, so they built 8 more on the north side, and they actually put them under the lights. So you can play tennis and pickleball under the lights on the north side. There's another big building at the lake house where you've got a ballroom and multi-purpose rooms for meetings, and they've got a catering kitchen over there as well. Going back to the sports park, you've got a softball field. Softball is huge in Sun City. There's 14 league teams. There's a 70 and over team. There's a travel team. There's recreational teams. There's just a lot of activity in softball. They usually play on, the league teams will play on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they've been moving it around. One of those days is hot dog day. And when you go through there when they're playing, I mean, the parking lot is full, and there's people parked all along Red Dam Road. So it's really, really popular. And I know a couple years ago, the travel team did win the national championship for, I guess, the other, I don't know what league they play in, but I guess against other retirement communities. There's also volleyball, basketball, and horseshoes over in the sports park area. Coming from that intersection, heading towards the back gate, you've got next to the sports park, the dog park, and then the woodworking shop. The woodworking shop is amazing. If you've got people who are into woodworking at all, they've got state-of-the-art equipment in there. And every client I've had that's had any interest has been incredibly impressed with what they have in there. And they require everybody to take 6 classes before they'll let you touch a piece of equipment in there. They're very safety conscious, and that building is getting a 1,500 square foot addition this year. But they bring in the wood. You can order wood through them, and it's all delivered to the woodworking shop at discount prices. And they do everything in there from, people who make hand-turned, I don't know the proper terminology, but, pepper mills and cutting boards and furniture. I mean, soup to nuts there. And it's a $35 annual membership fee, and they provide all the equipment. nails, screws, glue, and I think probably sandpaper. It's really it's an amazing facility. And let's see. And then at Riverbend, the amenity center there is just the clubhouse and the pool and hot tub, and then the community dock. And the community dock has the ability to, you can launch kayaks from there on the Ocoee River. And I know that there's something else, there's a capital improvement going on related to the kayak launch this year, and I don't know the details on exactly what they're doing there. But a lot of people go over there to shrimp, crab, and fish from that dock. But that's really nice. And if you have somebody who's not quite sure if this is the community that they want to live in, and they're comparing it to places in Florida or you know, North Carolina, I will take people over to Riverbend, even if they're, you know, buying a $125,000 home. I tell them, this is part of your community, and you can come over here and use this facility. So I think it's a great selling feature, even if they're not anywhere near that price point, because right now the lowest price home in Riverbend is $350,000, and we've had 3 on the market over $1 million this year, and one sold that was listed at $1.3 million. So it's but it's a nice place to take people, just to show them what other amenities they have available.
Is there any boat storage at that?
There isn't, and that's why I'm not sure what that capital project is. I don't know if they're looking at doing something like that. I don't know where there'd be room for that, but you know what it is there? I know they're also expanding the parking lot at Riverbend, because there's not enough parking at peak periods. Okay.
So sorry.
Okay.
I can't put it on silent because then I can't hear the alarm.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Let me go.
Just cut her
Okay.
off, so I'm gonna go call it in.
At the end of February, there were 147 homes on the market. That includes a lot. There's about 115 on the south side. So there's quite a few homes listed that are new construction. Right now, the developer has all of their models listed in MLS. They're not for sale. They're just out there so that people know that they can build those particular models. However, they've got them listed pretty much at list price, and the trend for Pulte has been to take everything, and I mean everything, out of the house and make everything an option. So we're finding with these new models that the amount of money people are putting in upgrades is substantially more than they were putting in the previous set of model homes, because absolutely everything is an option. So be careful when you go in and you see some of the floor plans. You walk in and the kitchen, maybe an L-shaped kitchen with a big island, and then there's a bar area where you've got cabinets all along the wall, because they're all very, very open floor plans. That whole set of cabinets
As an option.
are options. So you have to be really careful. And if you're not in there all the time, even I'm not 100% sure what all the options are, so you just have to be careful to let people know that everything they're looking at is an option. The standard flooring in the new homes is vinyl in the wet areas, carpet in the everywhere else. That's the standard, so everything is an upgrade from there. Standard counters are Formica. I mean, you're not seeing a lot of people put this stuff in, but that is what the standard is. They now have irrigation as an upgrade. However, it is required by the covenants. So it's a $2,100 upgrade that, you know, they're basically going to, if you don't get it, you've got 45 days after closing to put an irrigation system in.
How much is the roof?
No, they actually, I've told them that, you know, you actually do get roofs and doors in most cases. So
That's important.
they actually,
Maybe a cardboard roof,
Yeah.
and then you can upgrade to.
they actually do provide the roof.
Yeah.
They actually took out, and I thought this was crazy, the garage door opener is now an option in a 55 plus community. So,
So do they have the models priced at the stripped down price, but they show with all the upgrades? Ooh, that
where-
is just not
So
right.
where do you go to find out what's basic?
when you get the packet,
My office.
when you get the packet or the brochure, it sort of lists what the standard features are. And I would just sort of prep your clients that realize that there's a lot of upgrades. It takes them 15, 20 minutes if they're interested in a particular model, let them know that you're probably looking at $50,000 to $100,000 in upgrades.
And also, when I first bought down here, the hurricane shutters were included, they had to include them. Now they give you plywood. That's good enough.
Wow.
So,
Well, when they first started that, they did plywood, then they
And then
did the
they
shutters,
changed.
now they're back to,
yeah.
Anything after 2003 on the south side is going to have hurricane shutters. So that's something that,
Oh,
you know,
that's good to know.
yeah, so anything, it was in 2003 during that year that they made the change to making that a standard feature. One thing, while I'm thinking about it before I forget, homes built in Sun City in 95, 96, and part of 97 have polybutylene pipe. Now, I tell you that because most of the people who live there do not even realize that. And there's never been a problem in Sun City. They do have the metal fittings. They're not polybutylene fittings, so we've never had any issue. But we're finding that there is becoming a problem getting these houses insured if the insurance company asks and whether you have polybutylene fittings, polybutylene plumbing, a lot of them will not insure now.
So do you have to disclose that when you list it?
Well, this is the problem. I know any house built in 95, 96, and part of 97, I have to tell my clients because a lot of them don't know it themselves and they're going to fill it out incorrectly. But as a knowledgeable agent, I know that that's the case and I tell them that, no, you have polybutylene plumbing and you need to disclose it.
What happens if it's an estate and the home inspector, wouldn't they know? Couldn't they tell?
They should. They
Okay.
should. Now, the other thing you can look for too is they have a mana block system, which I guess was an option.
it was standard for a while.
I think only for a short period of time because
Yeah.
there's a lot of homes with polybutylene
Right.
pipes that don't have the mana
Actually, that
block
was
system.
before me.
Was it? Okay. So when you go into a home and in the garage you see this plastic, it's about the size of a medicine cabinet cover and it's only an inch and a half deep. You open that up and it's called the mana block system. So there are home runs. Basically, you can turn on or off the water going to every fixture in the house.
So cool.
It is.
I didn't know it was called that.
It's called, yeah, it's really cool, but it's only on the homes that have poly. So it's,
Oh.
unfortunately, it's a really great idea, but it's only on the homes that have the polybutylene
Oh,
pipe.
wow.
So if
And
you see that, you know it's got
you know
polybutylene.
automatically that it's
Okay. And
polybutylene
it's in the
piping.
garage?
It's in
Yeah.
the garage,
It's called a mana block?
mana
Yeah,
block.
and all the piping's gray.
And yes, so when you're trying to figure out yourself, you can look and see if you see any gray piping instead of the white PVC, which is actually PEX piping. If it's gray, it's definitely polybutylene. And be careful, a lot of times where people look is at the piping going into the hot water heater. But if they've replaced the hot water heater, they may have replaced that piping and the rest of the house could be polybutylene.
And the one that you and I looked at one time, the one that I sold over there had been painted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they did that for any
Well, no.
nefarious reason, but there are, yeah, I've seen that, where I've seen white paint and just use my thumbnail and I'm like, okay, what color is it really?
Thank you very much.
Really?
So, I mean, there's just so many different things that become hot button issues. But I had a house outside, I had a house in Rose Hill that I had listed that had polybutylene plumbing, and that was when we found out that we were having a real hard time. The seller's insurance company agreed to cover the buyers because we were having a hard time finding companies that would insure houses with polybutylene pipes.
Got to notice that most insurance companies won't do that anymore. Like
I
the,
won't transfer it.
that was, came from the Realtors Association. I think it was a notice from them or something I read from the state, but they said don't promise that anymore because it probably won't happen.
So now we need to advise our seller clients to maybe change their polybutylene pipes.
Yep.
Now, what's the problem with those kind of pipes?
If you have polybutylene fittings with polybutylene pipes, they will leak over time.
They may.
Well, I shouldn't say wait. Well, I think they say eventually. I think it's
They may, and that's why you can't
Yeah.
get insurance.
yeah.
It's not a, yeah.
There's something about the chlorine in our water too that affects the pipes, from what I've read.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a chemical. It breaks down the
pipes.
plastic content.
Oh, probably.
In the hot water pipes than the cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Can they just change the fittings though, right?
Well,
Not anymore.
No, because in Sun City they're metal fittings. They don't. There's never been a problem, to my knowledge, of any property in Sun City. But the insurance companies don't care. The issue has been, to my knowledge, exclusively with polybutylene fittings. But the insurance company, sort of just like the mortgage companies right now, they've gone to the a really conservative extreme, and just said no polybutylene.
So as of this day, because I remember selling a house in a realtor that had it, but they changed the fitting.
Yeah. It used to be acceptable. And you know this isn't just a Sun City thing. This is, yeah.
Yeah. And there are companies out there. It's not as expensive to change out
Right.
the plumbing as I would have thought. I would have thought this would have been tens of thousands of dollars to get it done, but apparently it's
They're good at it.
$5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah.
They put this flexible pipe and they just cut drywall just when they have to, and they make small holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good, very good at doing it.
So it's not. It doesn't necessarily have to be a deal breaker. I had clients moving here from Atlanta, and they absolutely were not going to buy a house with polybutylene pipes, no matter what, unless they figured, and if the house they wanted had it, they were going to pay, or they wanted concessions to be able to replace the piping.
My problem with it, and maybe I'm crazy, but the original polybutylene plumbing was run through the foundation, under you, okay? And when they replace it, they run all the pipes up through the attic, so that when those new pipes break, they're gonna rain down on you, not come up. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's what they do. They get up there and they just sneak it down the walls and
Yeah.
drill a hole, punch it out the back of your cabinet.
Think about trying to replace it underground.
Well, you can't, no, but I'm just wondering, down the road, if the pipe's gonna start bursting above you.
Okay, so
Yeah, little bit, that's right.
Okay.
Seen too many.
so inventory is down dramatically. At the worst point in the market, we probably had about 280 homes on the market. Now there's 147, but that number is quite a bit lower because there's a certain number in there that are new construction, either spec homes or.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll find it.
Or the models. The list price is ranging from about 115,000 to 1.2 million. Last year there were 466 homes sold. About 20% of those were new construction. The developer, in coming out with these new models, their goal, they've been running for the last several years at about 25% market share, and their goal is to get up to 50% market share. So they've introduced a lot of things that you can't get in your standard home on the south side. They're offering new options that they've never offered before: tiled showers. I'm trying to think of some tiled backsplashes. Some things that they've never offered in the past to try to encourage people, because they have to overcome. There's several objections that I find that are typical with buyers on new construction. The taxes is a big one, so it's almost triple as far as taxes go. The size of the lots, the houses are very close together. minimum 5-foot setback, so you have a lot of houses that are 10 feet apart. They now will, with new construction, only landscape, excuse me, the front of the house, no landscaping on the side or across the back. And so you've got a lot less landscaping. They had to clear cut to be able to build, so you don't have much in the way of native, remaining trees. And so you've got a lack of maturity and just a lack of the amount of landscaping. So those tend to be the three biggest objections. What you'll find on the resale side is that there's a lot more land that was left natural. I think about 40% is what a third was left natural on the south side. And obviously you've got time, and the landscaping's a lot more mature. So, and you've got lots as big as 6/10 of an acre. So that's not certainly the norm, but for people who are very particular about how much room they want or the view, there are some spectacular homes that at the height of the market, people were paying over $100,000 in lot premiums on the south side.
The third is the nature preserve that's protected by the Corps of Engineers. So there is others that would probably add up to your 40%.
Yeah, there it is. So, right now we're still predominantly, the resales are the predominant part of the market, but the developer had an excellent January and February. Back at the height, I mean, they would sell as much in a month as they're currently selling in
In 2005, we closed 1,500 homes.
Wow.
yeah. And all of last year, I mean, there were just, let's see if it was 20% of that, I mean, maybe 100 homes last year. So it's dramatically different. But you can see the trend. In 2006 through 9, when the market really tanked, our number of homes sold stayed consistent. We lost value, but we never really saw a big decrease in the number of homes being sold on the resale side. You saw the huge decrease on new construction. It took Pulte a little while to figure out what was going on market-wise, and it took them a long time to respond and bring down their prices. And they did that by reducing, what was standard for the most part. But starting in 2010, you've had pretty dramatic increases in the number of homes sold. The big jump in 2011, not all of that was just an increase in the market. What happened was Pulte never used to publish the homes that they were selling. But realtors started asking that when they were involved in a transaction, they wanted it listed and pended so that they would get credit in MLS. That started happening in 2011. So that's part of why you see that huge jump.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and that happened mid-year because I know a huge part of my volume in 2010 and 2011 was new construction. But if you look at my numbers in MLS, it wasn't reflected because Pulte wasn't putting it in. So in 2011, they started doing that, and that's part of that big jump. Okay, so I do have it in there. 235 to 245 homes were typically sold in those years of 2007 to 2009. Sorry about that. Oh, thank you. Forgive me, let's see. I haven't looked at these. These numbers were all just recently updated. So, when I originally... Let's see. I've been trying to track what the price per square foot has been so that I would have an indication of sort of when the market was turning, and I don't know that these numbers really do a good job reflecting it, but I can tell you the market in Sun City has definitely turned. Especially under 200,000, homes, if they're priced well, are going under contract really quickly. So the market is very strong under 200,000. Still seeing some sluggishness right now between, 250 and 300. And there's the market over 300 or 350 is a very, very small part of the Sun City market. And where new construction does the best are in the higher price points. And the loft models are a great value because the price per square foot, by adding that square footage on the second floor, it prices out. And I haven't looked at the new models, but I know on the previous set of models, you were only paying like $45 a square foot for that second story. So that's why I thought they were crazy when they first introduced the loft floor plans, because I thought I've never had anybody ever ask me for a 2-story house in a retirement community. But what a lot of people are doing is that second story is really inexpensive to add on a square footage basis, and the people tend to want to make sure that they have room for visiting guests. And especially if it's family, it's easy to put them upstairs. The lofts are enormous. They have a nice sized bedroom, bathroom, and a big open additional living area. So when they have guests, when their family comes to visit, they've got almost another whole huge suite living area upstairs. So that's been really popular, not so much for the residents to use, but more for their guests.
And the attic space is good too.
Yeah, there's a lot of storage, especially in the new
Yeah,
models
right.
too. They've really they've made some changes to the floor plans in these recent floor plans. These floor plans have been tweaked 5 times. They were originally built in, and I may have them out of sequence, but they built them in the Charlotte market, which actually is in Fort Mill, South Carolina, is Carolina Lakes. And then they did focus groups, and then they tweaked them, and they built them in Cary, and then they tweaked them again, and they built them in Atlanta. And so they've been tweaked about 4 or 5 times before building them here. And they're very, very open. The kitchens are extremely open to the rest of the living area. They're focused on entertaining. They said that, the people, they found that the residents here entertain some ridiculous number of days out of the year. And they've also moved the laundry rooms closer to the master bedrooms, and they've done a lot of lifestyle changes to the floor plans, and with the hope again of increasing market share. And because where Pulte's doing the best is with the higher end, the people who are coming down here and willing to spend the money would, in a lot of cases, like a new home, and not have to buy an existing home and make the renovations. I think, did you want to save the Haven for a different day?
Yeah, we can do it a different day.
Okay. So the other handouts that I've given you are a list of the amenities and the clubs. So there's over 100 clubs and organizations in Sun City. Anything that you can possibly think of, they've got. You've got the villa fees.
Is that the neighborhood assessment page?
Yes. Yep, those are the villa fees and the cottage
So
fees.
it's not really an assessment,
No.
it's a fee.
Yeah, this is actually out of the brochure that Sun City gives out. This is an overview, and there should be.
Can I stop you?
Yep.